Sportsnight at Noble's on location. Hi, everyone. I'm Bill Rosinski, and welcome to the Firethorn Country Club outside of Charlotte, where we're interviewing a number of NFL alumni here for a charity golf tournament that they have every year. What a great cause. And our guest is Ben Davidson, known by many as one of the great Oakland Raider players from back in the mid-'60s. But you know what? You started your career with the Green Bay Packers after you drafted by the Giants. And your first year, you end up playing for Vince Lombardi.
Only lasted 3 weeks for the New York Giants, and a nice man named Allie Sherman was the coach, and he traded me to the Green Bay Packers for a fifth-round draft choice, and I got to be on the 1961 NFL Championship Green Bay Packers, and all of us earned for that game, winner's share $5,194.78. And if you ask me tomorrow, I'll tell you the same amount.
And what did you do with the big check?
Well, actually, that's 1962. My wife and I bought a three-unit piece of rental property and been doing that for 40-some years since then. And it's all worked out pretty well.
Where'd you buy it, in Green Bay, or did you buy it out in West Coast?
We lived in Seattle in the off-season and bought it in Seattle and then sold it when we moved to Oakland and bought more property there. And now in San Diego and own apartment houses in San Diego. So I tried to emulate my teammates. Most of them went to training camp broke, and I found out that I probably worked harder in a training camp if I was broke. However, I wasn't broke for the same reason they were broke. I was broke because I was buying real estate, so it worked out good.
So you really weren't broke, though?
Well,
sort
that
of.
$50 for a preseason game back then looked pretty good for a while.
Ben, when you hear Packer players from that era talk about Lombardi, there's this reverence they have. When you hear Jerry Kramer, Horning, those guys talk about Lombardi like he's a godlike figure. What was that like? Well, how did he impress you as a head coach?
I thought he was a great leader of men, or a great psychologist, because he took a group of guys that had the potential but didn't realize it, I think, and got them to work together for a common cause and got them all to play. And I think he's gotten kind of a bad rap because he did have a sense of humor. He was a decent person, and one day in training camp at St. Norbert's College in De Pere, Wisconsin, he's ranting and raving, and he's all upset. And Horning and somebody else in the front row started snickering and giggling and laughing, and I said, man, that's pretty scary what he's going to say about that. And he started looking at him and Jerry Kramer, and the next thing he cracked a smile and he realized he was going a little overboard for a midweek in training camp, that he could save that for the season probably. But it was pretty good to see him relax and crack a smile.
But it wasn't long. You were with Green Bay. You ended up, with Washington for a couple of years?
2 years with the Washington Redskins. That was my penance, I guess, for having started out. And we played a game here in Charlotte. And I'm proud to say the ultimate diet happened here in Charlotte. I mentioned $50 for a preseason game, and I was paid $50, and I lost 23 pounds that night playing in Charlotte. I played the whole game on defense. We had a pretty bad defense. We were on the field a lot. I was on every special team, and I lost 23 pounds. And if you want to go on a special diet, come to Charlotte, play in a preseason game for $50 and lose 23 pounds. It's guaranteed.
A little humid, I think, that night. Now, you end up with the Raiders. And when you look at those teams, consistently good, you end up going to the second Super Bowl. Kansas City played in the first one. You guys came into the second and playing Green Bay. What do you remember about that Super Bowl? Because we all know what the Super Bowl is like. It's weeks of hype, the most hyped sporting event that this country has now. Back then it was a little different, wasn't it?
Well, back then it was pretty exciting because we learned our Roman numerals. You know, there was 1 and then 2, and that was all pretty logical. So a lot of guys that probably wouldn't be exposed to Roman numerals got exposed to it, and that was one good benefit of that. And but it was pretty low-key. We stayed in a 2-story low-rise motel in Boca Raton, Florida. No kind of security. I went out. I like to read. My mother was a librarian, and went out to the pool, and I was sitting there reading. And the next thing, here reporters are coming around, and the next thing I read in the paper, I had a press conference by the pool. And but it was pretty low-key. we were told not to go off into the swamp to get footballs because there were alligators, and there really were. I think Atlantic Pacific University, something like that. Florida Atlantic University, we practiced that, and it was we played the game in the Orange Bowl, and we had to get in there and practice, and there were neighborhood kids that had climbed over the fence, and they were playing ball in the field, and Al Davis is beside himself. How are we going to get these kids out of here? They're going to be snatching our balls, and our players are going to be running over kids. And all of a sudden, over the loudspeaker came, "We're going to release the dogs in 2 minutes. Clear the field." And the kids all, that was a signal for them to get back over the fence. And so we had our practice, but it was all pretty low key and small time.
More with Ben Davidson in a moment.
Welcome to New Day Productions. We're a team of individuals with diverse media backgrounds, from training, video, photography, graphic design to on-air broadcasting. We've come together to use our experience to help others achieve their goals of producing effective media content at affordable prices. We specialize in video and audio web content such as commercial advertising, site introduction, infomercials, safety or training videos. We are also your go-to videographer for personal or professional events, corporate meetings, family legacy, and music band DVDs, and a whole lot more. Make sure you browse our services, including our still photography packages and audio production. Whether it's for large or small business, personal use, events, corporate or commercial, or just to memorialize a moment in one's life, we have the solutions that you seek. Our utmost desire is to customize a video to best fit your needs. We will meet with you and create a plan to deliver your project as you want. Call us today, and let's talk about what we can do for you. It's a new day.
Our guest is Ben Davidson. Now, that Raider team, you lost to Green Bay, but for the next few years, you were always back in the AFC Championship game or AFL Championship game until 1970. You got there, couldn't win. The Jets beat you the next year. They go on to finally win for the old AFL, the Super Bowl. But that year that you lost to the Jets in the title game was the Heidi game. Did you guys have any idea of the uproar that was going on back east? Because that game was played in Oakland, and to refresh our fans' memories out there, this was a 4 o'clock game, and back on the East Coast, NBC decided at 7 o'clock they were going to, well, too bad, we're off the air in New York, we're going to run Heidi, because they'd been promoting this movie all week, and the Jets were beating you guys. And then next thing you know, they kept playing the game. You guys ended up beating the Jets, and this was this big uproar in the East. But you guys are on the West Coast. Do you have any idea what was happening back east?
Not at all. And the outcome of that game was, if I remember right, it was 2 touchdowns in 11 seconds, and I think we needed at least a touchdown and a field goal to win. I can't remember exactly, but it's a great piece of trivia. Who scored the touchdowns in the Heidi game? And one was Charlie Smith, who was a Raider running back. The other guy is pretty obscure. He was a quarterback for University of Georgia, a special teams guy with us. His name was Preston Reitelhuber. And that's one of the great pieces of trivia, second touchdown in the Heidi game. And we came from behind, won the game, and obviously the players didn't have a clue anything was amiss. And I had a speaking engagement in Seattle the next day at lunch. Monday was our day off, and I flew up there, and people kept patting me on the back all after I got out of Oakland, patting me on the back, saying "tough luck, Ben," all through the airport. I'm not the brightest guy, but I said something's not right here, and I said, well, we won the game, and I didn't have a clue. I never paid attention just how much we could allow to give up to still win the game, what we needed to do on defense and being a defensive player. But I said, well, we won, and they said, oh, no, you couldn't have. And that actually at the luncheon they had pictures for me to autograph, and somebody said, sign one to Heidi. So I said, don't ever do that to us again. And the next day in the one of the Seattle papers, the Time of the Post-Intelligencer, it was on the front page of the Sports, don't ever do that to us again, Heidi. And it was quite a noteworthy game, and it'll never happen again. I think the networks will cut off a NFL game for a children's program.
Once your career ended, you had another career. Now, were you taste great or less filling?
I was one of the more versatile guys, and I could be either one depending on how the script, they could put me in over here or over here. And so I got more work that way, being able to be either one, and it was a pretty good deal. Tastes great or less filling. And prior to retiring from football, it had been John Madden's deal was don't drink too much beer and don't stay up late. And then I got this deal where they wanted you to drink a lot of beer and stay up late. And I said, well, I could do that too. But Ray Nitschke, Rosie Greer, and I sitting in rocking chairs in the old football players' home doing needlepoint. And Rosie Greer had all the lines, and he said all the stuff, and Ray Nitschke and I lifted up our needlepoint, and one said tastes great, and the other said less filling, and I ended up doing 27, including that includes 3 in Spanish, 2 on the radio, and 1 in one TV, and it was a lot of fun. And along with the commercials was appearances, and I love to travel, and I'm one of the few people that can say they've earned money in every state except Delaware. 49 states I've gone to and done some sort of an appearance and some sort of an event and gotten paid for it. So I've never had a real affinity for Delaware since then. They didn't want me, so I don't care about them. So. But it was a lot of fun, and the people knew I liked to travel, so I got to visit military bases all over the world. And being a geography guy, Thule, Greenland, Keflavik, Iceland, Pomerola, Honduras, Guam, Okinawa, Tokyo, Korea, Spain, Italy, lots of Germany, lots of great trips to visit military bases. And the idea wasn't we weren't trying to get the soldiers or sailors or Marines to drink. We were trying to get them to, if they were drinking beer, to try our brand.
John Madden, I heard, and tell me if this is true, that he paid for a bunch of his former players to come to Canton for his induction into the Hall of Fame.
Well, it's even better than that. Actually, the Raiders carried about 20 of us on the team charter, but John Madden actually chartered a plane and invited a couple of the players' wives, including my wife, who's good friends with his wife, Virginia Madden, and took a lot of friends and neighbors and the whole plane load of people back to Canton and treated them all, and actually had some one of his stops along the way in his coaching career was Santa Maria, California, Hancock Junior College or community college, and that area is famous for white oak barbecue, and he actually had some of the barbecue guys drive their rigs all the way to Canton, Ohio, their big barbecues, and at the country club that he hired for the night, they had white oak, Santa Maria white oak barbecue, and it was a great time. And Jerry Jones knew where to go. I don't know. 2 of his guys went in the Hall of Fame, but he was over with us eating good barbecue. So, lots of good sports guys there, and there was quite a party, and well deserved. We're all very happy for John Madden going in the Hall of Fame, and he's the only guy that thanked his bus driver too. You got to keep that in mind.
That's right.
None of the other guys thought to thank their bus driver.
The Raiders are having some problems this year. How does that pain you to watch?
Well, it does. I'm wearing this in support of my friend and teammate Art Shell. I hope he can get it turned around, and it's pretty sad. They've lost already 4 games this year, and it took us once 3 years to lose 4 games, regular season games. So it's not good times for the Raiders, but I think Art's a guy that can get them turned around, and I was hoping it was against the 49ers.
Did you have any desire to get into coaching and stay in the game once you retired?
I hate to say this, but I never was much of a football fan. I didn't play football in high school. I started playing at East LA Junior College and found out I could avoid getting a real job doing that, and it was fun and hanging out with the guys, and it turned out to be a whole good life for me. John Madden in his Hall of Fame acceptance speech said he'd never had a job, and I'm kind of the same way. I've never had a real job either, and I've gotten to do so many interesting things and had a great life, and it's all because of the game of football, but I never was all that wrapped up in it. I just thought it looked like a fun way to get some exercise and avoid getting a real job.
Ben, always good to have you here in Charlotte. Thanks for stopping by and chatting.
Thanks,
with
Bill.
us.
Always good to see you.
Ben Davidson, former member of the Green Bay Packers, Washington Redskins, and the Oakland Raiders. More Sports Night at Nobles on location when we return.